Hello everyone, my name is Tess Thomas. I'm coming to you from Clay County Historical Arts Council. You know, when we first started doing this, I started working for the council. That first summer, I did the sneak peeks for the museum, and those were really fun and educational. We were trying to get people to come in and actually see the museum. And then last winter, when the museum was closed, we were trying to find some things to show you all, and so we started the Artist Spotlight. And the Artist Spotlight, where I went into people's studios and showed you how they were creating, whether it was the pottery or the glass or people that painted. And so those were awful fun too. But you know, this year we wanted to concentrate on the other side of the Historical and Arts Council and actually focus on the history of Clay County. And so we've created this new spotlight, which is we're going to call One-on-One with Clay County History. And so today we're in the home of Sam and Reba Beck. And Mr. Sam, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate you allowing us to do this.
Thank you for coming, too.
Sure. So we're just going to go through a little bit of your history in the area. Can you just start and tell us where you were born and when?
Sure. I was born back in June the 7th, 1942. And Mom, World War II had started, and Dad was in the Marines, and Mom wanted to be with Dad, and then too, she wanted to be able to work. She's going to have me, so she wanted to pick a place where she figured the best thing to do was to go to Knoxville, Oak Ridge actually. She went to Oak Ridge, and she got a job working for the government, and so she had me.
So that was so that she could be close to your father while he was in the military.
Exactly.
Okay. And so she had you. And what's your mom's name?
Mary.
Miss Mary Beck?
Uh-huh.
And your father's name?
Sam.
Sammy Beck. And I understand you have some Cherokee lineage. Can you tell us about your dad and his Cherokee lineage?
Sure. My grandma, Beck, my dad's mother, she just went ahead and had me enrolled. I had enough in me to be enrolled, so she had me enrolled.
Enrolled with the Cherokee?
With the tribe.
With the tribe, okay.
And so that's how it happened.
Because your father was full-blooded Cherokee?
Just about.
Almost, okay. Right? And you were a member, or became a member of the tribe?
That's right.
And so I understand that, like, you still go and vote for your chief and that type of thing. That's all voted in, right?
You sure do.
Yeah.
Every 6 months or every whatever, you vote in the tribal election.
That's really interesting. I would love to be a fly on the wall for that. So your parents were married for how long?
Oh my goodness. I guess about 3 years, maybe 4.
And then they were divorced.
Yes, had some problems coming up.
And then, so you were still pretty young, yeah. So where did you and Mom go when your parents divorced?
Of course, my grandparents.
You went to stay with your grandparents?
That's right.
Here in Shooting Creek?
Uh-huh.
That's cool. Can you tell me a little bit about your granddad? I understand he was pretty influential in your life.
He was just like my dad.
Yeah.
He's a good man. He loved the Lord. He did people right. I can't say enough adjectives about him.
Right. I know I was real close with my grandparents, and so I understand that. It really, hits home with me. When you were born, he was 72.
That's great.
And so you used to sit and talk with him a lot?
All the time.
Yeah. And some of the stories that he told you, or some of the ones that we wanted to talk about today, was that he would rent out the farmland to other farmers. And what was your grandmother's name?
Oh, it's Vinnie Kitchens.
She was born in Kitchens, and then she married your grandfather and became a Hogshead.
That's right.
I see. And so did she rent out bedrooms to tourists?
She sure did.
Yeah?
Yeah, she, it road was being built, the old road up Shooting Creek and across the mountain. And so people didn't have a place to stay. And Grandma ran out a guest bedroom. And it was made a little bit of money with it.
So she was the quite the manager, right? You said that she had a big sign that she would put out when she had a room for rent?
Yeah.
And the tourists would just see that and come and rent the room?
Yeah.
I bet you saw a lot of characters come through.
That's right.
And did she also grow fruit?
Strawberries.
She grew strawberries?
She sure did.
That's awesome.
She just about sent Mom through school with strawberry.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a lot of strawberries.
That's right.
I understand there was an incident that you would climb out of a window. Tell us about that.
Well, Grandma was she's a worker, and she would have work for me to do during the day, and so I kind of rebellious little kid.
Just a little.
So I'd come crawling out the upstairs window down our Nevada. Then I'd get away and I'd be gone. Yeah, it's a big old tree. You've seen these trees that go up real straight.
Oh, okay. That was the type of tree it was.
Yes, our Nevada.
Arborvitae. I had never heard of that.
Yeah. And so
out the window, down the tree, and run away so you didn't have to work.
I was gone for a while, but that didn't work.
She probably knew where to find you.
She's smart.
Yeah. Oh, that's wonderful. So did she also help you stay on track on your schoolwork during the summer?
She sure did. She one time she swapped the spelling book, and so I looked and I looked at the end of the year. I couldn't find it anywhere.
To turn it in?
Turn it in. Come on.
Because she was going to keep you on track through the summer.
After about a week or so after school was over, guess what showed up? And she worked at me. I was a horrible speller. But you know what? She worked on me and worked on me and worked on me till next fall. Sometime we had this, when was that? I become one of the best spellers in 6th grade or 5th grade.
That's fantastic. Because all due to Grandma's diligence.
Grandma's diligence.
That's right. And that's a lot of love, I'll tell you.
It is.
So you come by that honest, or she did. Your mom ended up being a teacher, right?
Yeah.
And what's your mom's name?
Mary.
Miss Mary Beck.
Yeah.
And what grade did she teach?
1st grade.
And that was at Shooting Creek School.
Shooting Creek.
Yeah. And how long was she a teacher?
Oh my goodness. I guess about 40 years all total.
Wow. That's quite a life of dedication.
She taught, first of all, she had no idea of leaving here. But the winters were awful. And so she decided, it'd be better. She could be here at least 3 months a year in the summertime. And so she stayed here and could be with her parents and all. And so she enjoyed it quite a bit.
She must have enjoyed it to stay with it for so many years. That's 4 decades of teaching. So she obviously made an impression on a lot of people.
But she went after years. She got to realize she heard of this wonderful place called Guam.
Yeah.
And so she applied to the government of Guam for a job.
That's amazing.
And so they hired her.
And how old were you when this happened?
I was just going out of 9th to 10th grade.
So 15-ish?
Mm-hmm. That's right.
And so I understand you didn't want her to go because she would be too far away.
I threatened to hit the woods and
you would
disappear.
You wouldn't be near Grandpa.
That's right. I didn't want to do that.
Yeah.
So, but that turned out to be a blessing.
So, well, you had to change your mind after that, because why did you change your mind? You didn't want Grandma to go by herself?
I didn't want her to go by herself. No telling what would get her over there.
Right.
Yeah.
What would get her? That's right. Because we didn't know anything about it, huh?
No.
And so you ended up going with her.
Yeah.
And then tell us a little bit about being over there.
It's a different world.
Yeah.
It's different. The Guamanians were all but little green men that.
For all you knew.
Yeah.
But you got there and changed your mind.
The plane flew and it flew and it flew and it flew and it flew. The Pacific Ocean's a big place.
Yeah.
And so we got over there and, we started the school. The school's about 10 times the size of Hayesville High School.
Really?
Yeah.
So you're used to, how many kids were in the school when you left in Hayesville school? A couple hundred?
Something like that in the high school.
And then you got to Guam, and that school was probably like 6 times as many students.
Yeah, over 2,000.
Wow, that's amazing. And so they were nice there? Were you able to make friends? And
oh yeah, the Guamanians are wonderful people.
Aw.
The Chamorro people.
Yeah.
And they, I rode the school bus, and I was the only white person on board. Everybody was Guamanian.
So you kind of stuck out, or felt like you stuck out like a sore thumb?
No, because being part Cherokee Indian, burned or suntan.
Right, so you were a little closer in skin tone?
I looked more like them.
Right.
Didn't sound like them, but...
yeah, but they spoke English, right? But did they have an accent?
Yeah, it had a funny accent.
Yeah, so did it take you a while to understand what they were saying?
And they couldn't understand me either.
Right, because you probably have the southern drawl.
That's right.
Right? But I understand that you respected them, and you went in there just acting like yourself, and you didn't want to act like you were better than anyone, and y'all got along great, yeah?
We got along fine.
So you made some friends there?
Sure did.
How long were you there?
2 years.
2 years. So what did you love about being on the island of Guam?
Oh my goodness. Swimming, snorkeling, going over the reef and seeing what awaits you over there. One day, this little, I guess he's a Mexican. We went out over the reef, and my goodness, an enormous shark out there was looking at us.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, big old fella.
And your heart just a thumping, huh?
Well, yeah, because, they could eat you up.
Right. That's kind of scary.
And so we got back over the reef and messed up and slid on the reef and blood all over everywhere.
Oh no, yeah, that's so sharp. That coral's sharp.
The shark had sense enough to leave the coral reef alone.
But y'all didn't, huh?
Yeah.
I've snorkeled the reef off of Sam Reba Beach in the Florida Keys, and it's absolutely beautiful, breathtaking, I'm telling you. Just all the life under there and that living coral. It's just gorgeous.
And that coral's coming back too, they say now.
Yes, sir, they're growing it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So 2 years, and when you came back, you were, what, a senior in high school?
Mm-hmm.
And so how was that coming back, transitioning back to the...
Oh, fine, I knew everybody.
Everybody missed you?
Yeah.
Oh.
I don't know if they missed me or not,
But they knew you for sure.
Yeah, they knew.
Great. And then after high school, you went to Young Harris College?
That's right.
For how long?
I graduated.
So that a couple of years? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then did you go to another college after
Western Carolina.
Western Carolina. And what was your degree in?
In education.
In education. All right. And so you taught. I didn't realize you had taught. How long did you do that?
2 years.
For 2 years?
No, 3. 3 years.
Okay. So I understand that you decided to get out of teaching. Tell me how that happened. It was at Sunday school class.
In the Sunday school class, we had a new preacher, so new pastor. His dad was Southern Life. It was an official of Southern Life, and so after the lesson was over, Sunday school lesson, he said, "Mr. Reba Beck, I believe you'd make a good insurance agent."
So he was in insurance.
He was in insurance.
And that sounded like something that would interested you. So
yeah, I don't know what kind of insurance. I know there's some of it's life insurance, some of it's health, some of it's auto insurance. He said, "Oh, I'm talking to you about life insurance. You don't want to get into auto insurance."
So stick with the life insurance.
Yeah.
So that's what you ended up doing, right?
Uh-huh.
And so did you end up starting your own company?
Yeah, I started 2 of them actually.
And how long of a career was that in insurance?
I think about 30 years.
30 years. So you must have been real good at it.
Well, it is. You can make money at it easier than you could teach.
Right. Well, unfortunately, that is true. Our teachers do not get paid enough.
Yeah.
So you started out, I understand, in the corner of your son's bedroom.
Yeah.
Tell me about that, how you started your insurance
It
company.
was the cheapest place I could get.
Right. So would you just set up a little desk in the corner and,
Yeah.
and have your telephone line and...
It's next to the front door, and people come, they'd come by and pay the premium or whatever.
That's wonderful. I didn't realize that. So it wasn't just telephone, it was actually people coming into your home.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
One day a fellow would come in and sit down and start talking to me, laughing, cutting up. And Sam said, it's his bedroom.
Right.
Ah!
Was he sleeping?
Yeah, and the man sat on him.
Oh!
I figured it's time.
Time to get an office.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. Well, it sounds like you were really blessed. So you ended up getting an office, and where was that?
Hazel.
In Hayesville?
The Lord worked it out real good for me to get a good office on Main Street, across from the courthouse.
Okay.
A tag office too, so they come in and buy their tag, and maybe they need to get some insurance too. So I was right there. Yeah. Later on, we opened up another office in Franklin.
I see. That was when you said 2 different ones. Okay. So, I wonder if you'll share with us something about your grandparents that has some historical interest. I understand that just this week there's been an article in the Clay County Progress about your grandmother Kitchen's grandfather, and I wonder if you'll tell us that story about.
Sure. Yeah, he. In fact, they've recently some fellows have just some more cousins have recently redone. They worked real hard and redid the grave, which is something that needed to be done real bad.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Unfortunately, with this accident I had, I wasn't able to help them.
Right.
But I'm so proud of what they did. I gave them some money on it.
Did you? And have them go out, and so they just landscaped it and made it look nicer, and
They did a
they clean up the headstones, or?
Yeah, they did. They did a great job with it.
And could you tell us their names?
Yeah, Jack Anderson's Bobby Ledford, and they really worked hard on it.
Well, thank you to both of those gentlemen, because I think it's really important for us to preserve our heritage, and so many times you'll see an old cemetery and either the headstones have fallen, or and cracked or broken, or they're just so covered in moss, or they get dirty, you can't even read them. So it's really important, I think, that we preserve our heritage, and people can go and visit them and learn about the names, especially the big family cemeteries.
In fact, when the Civil War was over, he told them, fellas, the slaves, he said, look, the war's over, and anyway, you're free. You can do as you please. Any way I can help you, though, I want to help you. And so they got together, and they talked a while, and they come back and said, Mr. Kitchens, if it's all right with you, we'll keep things just like they are. You've been good to us, and we just like to stay with you. And we know we can trust you.
And he would take care of them.
And he'd take care of them.
And they still took care of his land and his crops, and right? That's amazing. So they had the opportunity to be free and go wherever they wanted, and they chose to stay.
Well, they were free. They were free all the time, really.
Right. But I know just that had to have been an important time in their lives to be able to make their own decisions of where they wanted to be, and especially a testament to your grandfather or great grandfather. I'm sorry, was it your great grandfather?
Mm-hmm.
Testament to him and how he treated his people because they wanted to stay. And so I understand he also paid them a small wage in addition to.
I think so. I don't know how much he paid them, but I'm sure his list amount as he could.
Right, of course, but still,
He took
to
care of
them,
them.
I would imagine it was wonderful to be able to actually have their own money, and they could spend it on they wanted. They could make the decisions they wanted to make. That was a really turbulent time in our
It's a
history.
horrible time.
Yes, it's just gut-wrenching, the things that they had gone through. But so some did leave, but several stayed, right?
That's right.
And then they're talking
No,
about
no,
that.
no, nobody left.
Nobody left.
They all stayed.
They all stayed. Oh, that's wonderful. And he would help people regardless of whether they were fighting for the North or the South.
He would.
To help others.
They had food, too.
Food, right. So he was helping feed just anybody, regardless of what side of the war they were sympathizing with, whether the North or the South.
That's right.
That's a big-hearted man.
Yeah.
And so I understand somebody didn't like that.
Yeah. And he waited for him. Went up to what's called the Kitchen's Ridge.
Kitchen's Ridge.
Uh-huh. You can see it. It's a big straight. It looks kind of level, but it's not really.
But I mean, if you look from afar, it's not like it's a mountain. So they literally had a ridge that they settled on, right? On that farm. That's here near.
He went up and he went over, and then the fellow that got mad at him for feeding Yankees, and so the bullets were kind of scarce back then. So.
Well, he had cattle, right? So he had
He
cattle ranging up there on the ridge,
Mm-hmm.
and this fella kind of stalked him out, and I understand took the bell off the lead cow.
He did.
So that what?
So then he'd ring the bell, and then Grandpa Kitchens thought that was
Where the cow was.
yeah, because they always follow a lead cow.
I see.
And so he went to where the ringing was, and he saw he had a good chance to shoot him. And of course, bullets were steamed. They didn't have many bullets back then. The war was over, and they used up all the bullets.
Right.
And so he only had one bullet.
So he just rang that bell until he drew drew Grandfather Kitchens in close enough to shoot him.
And then he shot him.
And he did.
Got wounded enough to wound him.
So it didn't immediately kill him.
No.
But it wounded him.
Yeah.
And then didn't he not have a young slave
He sure
with him?
did. He had a boy that he was a slave boy, and Grandpa Kitchen said, "Look, you need to go back to Shooting Creek and tell them what's happened."
And go get help.
And they did, and he did, and he got help from Grandpa Kitchen.
And so his sons came, and actually, because of this young slave boy, they were actually able to see their father before he actually passed away from the wound, from the
That's
gunshot
right.
wound. Wow. And so he's buried in the same cemetery you're talking about,
Mhm.
right? And
Yeah.
along with several of the slaves that weren't slaves any longer.
That's
Several
right.
of the workers.
Oh yeah, they'd lived here for years. Later on after this, so they were just natives, really.
Sure.
And,
Native to Shooting Creek.
Yeah.
And also some of your grandparents' children that had died in infancy are also in that same cemetery.
That's correct.
So your great-grandfather's name was William Hogsett.
Mm-hmm.
And then your grandfather was Sam.
Yeah.
And then what was your father's name?
Sam.
So you're the third. You're the third Sam Beck.
Bunch of Sams.
Right? So your great-grandfather, he was a soldier in the Civil War, and he fought in the Battle of Chickamauga. Right? That's near Chattanooga.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where there was a significant battle. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So it says...
Yeah, what happened here? He knew it was going to. They were drafted in the Civil War, just like they drafted up until recently.
Mm-hmm.
And so the South had a general called Braxton Bragg, and Zell Miller. I was in his political science class at Young Harris. Zell said, of all the sorry generals, both sides of the war, Braxton Bragg was probably the worst.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And so I agree with that. So the war, they knew it was going to be a bad war. And he asked the Lord to spare him. He said, this is going to be an awful war, and it's going to take you to get me through this mess. And so the war started. battle started. And anyway, he said he had peace about it.
Well, don't understand that everyone else was acting like they were kind of unconcerned and just sitting around and playing cards, and your great grandfather had promised God if he were to protect him, that what?
No cards ever again.
He would never play cards again.
And we're still keeping that even today.
Yeah. So the whole family, all down the line, nobody has cards. Isn't that something? That's a generational promise to God.
Yeah.
And so not even in his house, or not just not playing, but wouldn't even allow him in his house.
That's right.
Wow.
One time, my uncle married a lady from Scotland. She met her up in Ohio. And so she come down and she started playing cards. She's a good person, as good as they can.
Sure, but she didn't know about this.
No, she didn't understand about this covenant, I guess, that Granddaddy made with God.
Right.
And so he said, Morgan, you're welcome in this house. Them cards ain't.
He stood his ground. I understand that completely. So I understand that during the battle, he actually felt the buzz of the bullets whizzing by his ears.
Not only that, but it sings a couple of them sings his ears. He said that the gun was, they were shooting cannons at him. And all of a sudden, the big cannon went between his legs.
The cannonball right between his legs. Oh, that's amazing. Wow. And so he got a battlefield promotion to sergeant.
Sergeant.
But then his men were calling him captain.
Yeah.
Captain Bill, right?
That's right.
And I understand that stuck with him for the rest of his life, Captain Bill.
It did.
That's amazing. But he ended up coming back to Shooting Creek, right?
Uh-huh.
And he was also a school teacher.
He was.
So you've got a lot of teachers in your history.
And my granddaddy was a school board member.
A school board member?
Uh-huh.
That's amazing. You've got a lot of teachers in your history, in your family.
Yeah.
So your grandmother, is that your grandmother or your great-grandmother? Was born in 1882. That would have been your grandmother.
Grandmother, yeah.
And she was one of 11 children, I understand. Well, they had big families back then, don't they?
Big work.
Yeah, a lot of help for the house. And she and your grandfather married in 1901. After your grandfather got back from Colorado, right? And what was he in Colorado for?
He would have to work for this ranch called Cary Ranch, and the Cary Ranch was located in a little town called Hayden, Hayden, I believe. And
Hayden, Colorado.
Hayden, Colorado.
Okay.
And they paid pretty good, and he got to live in the bunkhouse, which is up over the cows and stuff. And the cows generated a lot of body heat. I guess that kept them warm. Reba and I got to visit that place one time. It was nice.
So the bunkhouse is still standing. The ranch is still working. That's wonderful.
No, it wasn't working, but the bunkhouse is still standing.
But it was still standing. I see. And so while he was on that ranch, he was saving his money, right? So that he would have something to offer someone when he came back.
And he come back. Of course, he and Grandma had already been, they were pretty close. And so when he saved up enough, and then the Cary Ranch kind of run into problems too, the financial problems. Somebody didn't manage, I guess. So,
yeah.
He come back and then officially proposed to Grandma, and he got married, and so he got he bought 2 mules and a wagon, and so they got married, and they took the wagon and the 2 mules. They went to Murphy, spent the night in the hotel. Murphy's the closest place where there's a hotel. Right. Then the next day they got up and took the train, got the horses there in the hotel, and they took the train over to Blue Ridge, spent the big day in Blue Ridge.
For their honeymoon?
For their honeymoon.
That's amazing.
Then come back, spent another night at the hotel. Then took their wagon and come on home.
Came on home to Shooting Creek, and then they lived here their entire lives, right?
Yeah.
And 62 years of marriage.
Mm-hmm.
And always lived right here in Shooting Creek.
Yeah.
And I wonder if you'd tell me about your grandmother's most interesting guest.
Well, we had one fellow that was a test pilot for Beechcraft airplanes from somewhere in Kansas. And he was coming flying over here just about dusk. And he said he looked down and nothing but just trees and mountains and one little pasture there in the middle of it. And he said it was getting dark. And he could look, his gauge was messed up. It was showing, it wasn't reading right. So he went flying around and thought, I need to get down out of here. Which is a good decision, really.
Well, not just dark, but it was the fuel gauge. So it was showing that he didn't have any fuel, right? So
That's
he
right.
wouldn't know if he had any or not.
He needed to get down.
Yeah. So he landed in your grandmother's pasture.
Yeah, granddaddy's.
Granddaddy's.
Yeah, he flew around and said, my goodness, the only place I can see where I can even land is that little pasture down there. And everything else was mountains and trees and
right.
Said,
one little clear spot.
I'm in trouble. So he finally set this airplane in. Beechcraft V-tail.
That was a new style, wasn't it?
It was. And
A V-tail, yep.
Everybody in the country showed up for it.
Of course, they all saw a plane landing in their neighborhood, so they're trying to figure out what was going on.
There was about a mile and a half pickups lined up on the side of the road.
All trying to find out what was happening.
Yeah. So anyway, one of the first things he asked was where could he get a hotel?
And of course, there was none in Shooting Creek. So
Murphy
was the closest one.
And so anyway, he stayed with us all night. We fed him breakfast in the morning. This breakfast was special. Mom bought store-bought bacon.
Store-bought bacon from Fred Moore's
store. And boy, he just, that was something.
Right. That was like a celebration to have store-bought bacon. Something new anyway.
Of course, Granddad did a good job. I was used to Granddaddy's bacon. He always had plenty of bacon.
Sure.
But it wasn't, the only thing on it was salt. No sugar, no nothing else. I think that's what messes up a lot of people now. We eat too much store-bought stuff.
Sure, all the preservatives, none of that is good for us. But, so I was told that this pilot still remembered this experience. And about 30 years later, what happened?
He came back to see us.
Him and his wife?
Him and his wife.
Yeah. That's awesome. And there was a paperweight?
Oh, yeah, he brought me a paperweight with his airplane he had on it.
And brought that gift to you?
Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful. I do want to touch base on your grandparents. So 62 years of marriage, and I understand that, there was about 11-year difference in them in age. But they passed away within 6 weeks of each other in the summer of 1963. Yeah. And could you tell us a little bit about when your granddad passed?
Yes, they had prayed. I'd heard them praying for years. Lord, let us live to see Sammy, age 21.
Meaning you. They wanted to live until you had turned 21. And they were able to do that.
And so God gave them that, and they lived. Granddaddy went first, and Grandma went first. I think within 6 weeks of each other.
Well, let's preface this granddaddy passing with the story about Shorty first. So tell me a little bit about Shorty and how he wasn't a very good watchdog.
And Shorty wasn't a good watchdog at all. This fella, his name was Neil Davenport, good man. He gave me the dog, and he told me, he said, now, Sammy, he won't bark at all.
He won't bark?
won't bark.
So he's not going to warn you when somebody pulls in your driveway. He's not a good watchdog.
So I thought I'd train him. It didn't work.
And you tried, and you could not make this dog bark.
No. Then when the night Granddaddy passed away, I was dreading it.
Yeah.
The room lit up. The very moment he died, it was such a wonderful experience. The room lit up with the presence of the Lord.
Oh, it almost glowed.
Yeah, the room
Glowed.
I was dreading it. Oh, I was dreading it. But it worked out.
But when it happened, you had a sense of peace, huh?
Oh, yeah. This is all the art of death.
Right? If this is all death is, there's nothing to worry about. We'll just be going home to our Lord.
That's right.
I hear you.
That's right.
And so, what tie Shorty into this passing of your grandfather? What happened when Grandpa passed?
Well, when we got home from the hospital from Murphy, Grandma said, "Daddy's gone, isn't he?" Yeah, he's gone. And how'd you know? And then she started telling about how Shorty went to barking and barking nonstop for about 5 or 6 minutes.
So Shorty knew when Granddaddy passed.
Somehow he knew.
Somehow. And this dog that never barked told your grandma that he had passed because he just started barking. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that amazing how animals will pick up on that?
Shorty barked.
Shorty barked. But, you know, I kind of look at it as graduating from our school. You know, we've done everything the Lord asked us to do, and he's ready to call us home, and so I look at it as graduating.
I think you're right.
Yeah, I don't think we should be sad when people go. We should celebrate that they graduated, and they get to go home. We're the ones that have to stay here and suffer on earth of this earthly woes, you know, that we go through.
You're right.
Let's talk about your beautiful wife, Reba. When did y'all meet?
That fall,
The fall of
Granddaddy
63?
and Grandma passed away, I was over at Western, and I met her, and something said, "That's the one."
That's the one. You just knew in your heart right away.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And so it's been a good marriage.
So when did you get married? Shortly after, or
Yeah,
did you
about
have
3 years later.
3 years later? Had a nice long engagement.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
we're real slow about
Making that decision. It's a big decision. You need to know if you're going to commit yourself to someone else for life, then you should be sure that that's the one. And obviously it was. You guys have been together how many years now?
60.
60 years. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. And so, how many children do you have?
Just one.
One son, and that is another Sam. So that's the fourth Sam Beck in this family line, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you all have the same initial? Are we juniors and seconds and thirds and fourths, or?
Unfortunately, it's the same. I think it's the same initial.
Same initial. Okay,
Uh-huh.
that's pretty neat. I
He
think
works
that's neat.
over for the city of Asheville. He's works in the zoning office.
Okay, and then he's married to a lovely lady named Carla,
That's right.
and they have given you some granddaughters. How many
3.
granddaughters?
3.
3, and their names are?
Victoria, Elizabeth, and Savannah.
All right, and is it Elizabeth that has just given you a great-grand?
Savannah.
Savannah. Savannah gave them a wonderful, beautiful little girl named Emerson. So you have a great-granddaughter, and I know that's a blessing. You know, my grandmother was so excited. She loved her children, and she really loved us grandchildren, but when she started getting those great-grands, it just is something, I guess probably, you know, you're starting to face your mortality, and it's something to know that you have, you know, part of your bloodline and part of your flesh and bones is going to walk this earth after you're gone and graduated. So that's a blessing. It sounds like you've had a wonderful life, Sam.
God's been good.
Yeah. There's one other story that I heard that I wonder if you'll share. Where we're sitting in Shooting Creek right now was your stomping grounds as a kid, right? And so were you running around the woods one day with a buddy of yours? And what happened?
Well, he lived over here, and we decided we were going to explore the Shooting Creek Ball. It's called Boteller Peak. Now the government renamed it.
Oh.
It really is still the Shooting Creek Ball as far as I'm concerned.
Okay.
And we were up there, and I thought, what a beautiful, beautiful place. I get grown, I'm going to build a house right here.
And how old were you?
19.
9 or 10 years old. And you did build the house right where you said. That is just amazing to me, that you would feel such an attachment to a place and just know that that's where you want to build your house, and then to actually turn around and do it. That's amazing. That's quite an accomplishment.
But you know, we can have a lot if we just realize who we are in the Lord.
Amen.
And that we have a lot of authority in their minds that we can, a lot of people don't realize what they have. And then we can just say, in the name of Jesus, I'm going to have that. There it is.
In the name of Jesus,
It
and
is
you
the
claim
Lord's
it.
will.
Yep. And the Lord will, and then it's coming.
And then here it comes.
Yeah.
Before you know it.
Well, you have had an amazing life, Sam. I really appreciate you sharing your heritage here and some of your wonderful memories. Is there anything else that you'd like to talk about before we close today?
I guess I talked so much, I've taken up all your...
No, you haven't. I have really enjoyed this conversation, and I really thank you for sharing all this with Clay County Historical and Arts Council viewers. I'm sure if y'all stay tuned, we've got more coming this month. So thank you again for being with us for one-on-one with Clay County History and Mr. Sam Beck. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time.